Welcome to the Conscious Classroom, where we explore the future of education and what it means to create learning environments that truly support human flourishing. I'm your host, Amy Edelstein. In each episode, we'll look at how mindful awareness and systems thinking deepen learning and well-being, why inner strength and self-regulation are essential skills for young people navigating our fast-changing world, and how do we thoughtfully integrate synthetic intelligence without devaluing the heart of our humanity. For educators, leaders, and anyone shaping the future of human development, you'll find practical tools and big-picture perspectives to increase your wonder and your impact. Let's get started. Welcome to the Conscious Classroom. My name is Amy Edelstein. Today, I want to talk about the future of education and what it means to co-create in our new relationship with synthetic intelligence. Recently, it was the Lunar New Year, and I saw a video of the most amazing choreographed dance. It was from China, and it combined martial arts, acrobatics, and the most incredible routines. It also happened to be a week during the Olympics where the unbelievable snowboarders and skaters were leaping and flipping and contorting and braving danger in extraordinary, beautiful, and breathtaking ways. I was reflecting on these two performances. What was unique about the Chinese performance, and what was amazing in its own right, is that the human acrobats and dancers were partnering and sparring and competing with synchronized robots who flipped and twirled and thrust their bow staffs in complex, graceful, and amazingly synchronized ways. I have never seen robots able to move with that degree of flexibility and balance and complexity, and I trust that that was why this show was featured in these amazing celebrations of the Lunar New Year in China. And I was reflecting on my response to both demonstrations of creativity and skill. The Olympic athletes provoked in me this sense of unbelievable awe, respect, wonder, affection, empathy, and not a little bit of fear as I watched, especially the skateboarders flying into the air and twirling. I felt a connection with their humanity, with their courage, with the hours and hours of practice, with the injuries they must have sustained. When I watched the robots in the Lunar New Year celebration, I felt inspiration, admiration, and respect. But it wasn't for the robots themselves. It was for the humans who programmed them, who had, the amazing versatility, who mastered the mathematics of aerodynamics to create synthetic joints, to program instructions, to choreograph, and to enable these robots to balance and leap and flip and land upright, find their balance. I imagined that their programmers did go through some kind of co-creative process, or human-synthetic collaboration, where when the synthetic robot couldn't balance, the human saw it and went back to the drawing board, or worked together with a synthetic intelligence to find a more precise shape and balance and programming sequence. My awe and wonder was at the human patience and stick-to-itness that enabled this to happen. For me, it was the human contribution to the co-creation that inspired and evoked my sense of wonder and affection and amazement. It was not my wonder at the robot itself. This has implications for how we're training our synthetic intelligence, and especially how we're communicating about educational technology, what messages we're giving our young people about what we see as possible, what we notice, and what we value. And I think that it's good for us to take a step back and reflect on our own experience. What are we really in awe of? Are we in awe of the product? Or are we in awe of the ingenuity that brought that outcome into being? Are we in awe of the creative process itself? Are we in awe of the perseverance and the frustration and the tenacity it takes to bring something new into the world or make something work that had never worked? I mean, when I grew up, my brother loved technology and grew up to be an engineer. But when he was in third grade and I was in first grade and we went trick-or-treating, he was a robot. He covered a box with tin foil and cut holes for the eyes and hooked up battery-powered lights and went trick-or-treating as a robot. And that was sort of the best we had in that day and age. And now we use synthetic intelligence for so many things. Some of us don't even realize how much we're using synthetic intelligence. Half the time our customer service is responding to us or shooting emails with our bills, or we're using algorithms to call up salary comparisons when we're planning a career move, or when we're wondering if we can afford home ownership or retirement. We use AI also mostly as a more sophisticated search. Just a regular search on Google or Safari doesn't bring up that much. You have to sift through a lot of stuff to find the answer you want. And especially if you're looking for a tech fix to something that's not working, or to find a feature in a program that you can't locate, you use AI to search. And that's wonderful, but it's far less than what the promise of synthetic intelligence is. And I believe that those who are teenagers today are going to start using, if they aren't already, synthetic intelligence as a co-creator, so that they invite input. The synthetic intelligence runs out and connects with another agent, another synthesized agent, and that agent solves something and comes back. And meanwhile, the human has thought of something else. To use the dance image, a different sequence of choreography or something that would astound and delight, knowing the human response. And those two, the synthetic agent and the human mind, come back together and they co-create. They volley back and forth. And maybe each one will start pushing the other to see if they can break the edges, to see if they can test out absurdities and in that define reasonable boundaries. Young people will imagine they'll turn a green field strawberry pink, or they'll take a plate of peas and carrots and convert it to a triple layer chocolate cake with thick whipped cream frosting. They will do tangible things, and they will imagine. They will imagine solutions. They won't see the obstacles. They're used to not knowing how to do things simply because they haven't learned yet, so they don't know what the hard boundaries are. They'll co-create with their synthetic intelligence. They'll send those agents out to find out and innovate and come back. And that's a very different approach than what most of us, older generation, do now. And imagining the results of co-creation are also interesting. Is there going to be a stage where that feeling of wonder and awe and respect that came alive in me as I watched the snowboarders and the skaters, knowing the human tenacity and cost and physical pain they went through, that respect that blossomed in me, maybe that will come as our agents start co-creating. It will be interesting to see. The important thing as we're working with young people and as we're using synthetic intelligence more and more ourselves is not to dumb down our creative capacities. I'm sure everyone listening to this knows when they get an email that was AI generated instead of human generated, even from a friend. The things that are smoothed out, the lack of personality or the artificial personality, the way that writing and content is being generated for below the common denominator. It doesn't touch us in the same way. It doesn't make us wonder about who's behind it. It doesn't make us want to meet them the way I felt when I consider the Chinese programmers and choreographers for the robot performance. AI smooths things out in a way that it reduces our sense of perfection to something devoid of feeling, devoid of real love, devoid of affection. A synthetic intelligent robot or these little robot companion puppies can feign affection. But a real dog knows you and loves you and can be very sympathetic when you're having a bad day. But for sure, that dog or cat, if you keep petting its fur the reverse way because you're having a bad day and you just kind of keep petting it against the grain and watching the fur stand up, your animal is going to grow tired and walk away and sit on the couch on the other side of the room. And that's a good thing because it's sentient, it's related, it's connected. When we're not connected to the content that we're consuming, reading, watching, learning from, or creating, when we feed prompts in and barely even read the outcome before we pass it along, the natural tendency is to stop being humanly and emotionally responsible for what we do and say. And that's a danger. That's a bad thing. And it's an especially bad tendency to train our young people to believe is okay. If our young people are used to feeding prompts and getting an essay back, or smoothing out their original essay with a prompt and then they get feedback, they're not going to feel that connected to the feedback on their essay. They're going to say, well, I didn't really write it. And if we're training the next generation to not be accountable, to not be present with their educational, creative, artistic, or engineering output, what will they create if they're not connected to the consequence? I've spent a lot of time practicing and studying Eastern traditions, and what in the Buddhist paths the Buddha was always trying to do was get his students to be completely responsible for what was happening. That's what mindfulness was. It's awareness. It's moment-to-moment attention. It's noticing what's happening as it's happening, noticing our motivations, noticing the emotions and tendencies that led to those motivations, then choosing to act with good motivation, always showing up, always being accountable at subtler and subtler levels. It's a phenomenally high demand on the human nervous system, capacity for awareness, intention, motivation, and heartfulness. But that was the whole point. We choose to become more and more responsible, more and more accountable, more and more present, more and more available in our own skin for reality as it's unfolding and for our impact on that reality. This is what we want to inculcate in the next generation. This is what education or parenting or mentorship needs to be about. Becoming more and more humanly responsible for our output, whether it's speech, a look, a question, a product, even a purchase. We are going to be using synthetic intelligence more and more. The question in front of us all is, how do we become more sensitive, not less, not dull, not inured to the desiccating effect of bland content, meaningless and personless outputs. And especially the content that comes out really has to matter. Yeah, we just for a moment back to the Buddha, he only had 8 limbs of right action. That's not very many. There are only 8 components of right action. And front and center is right speech. So we can have speech which includes writing that generates loving kindness, wisdom, truth, positive motivation, that doesn't try to falsify, delude, ensnare, manipulate. And in order to practice right speech, we, the speakers, have to contemplate and intentionally and conscientiously choose what we're going to say, when we're going to say it, how we're going to say it. Right speech includes skillful timing, skillful means. Because speech or content, whether it's written or vocal, it has an effect. So there are many aspects to think about how synthetic intelligence is dulling us to our human emotions and responses. It's creating a space, a buffer that's not wholesome between us and the impact of our effects. It's giving us, some kind of, get out of jail free card, back to the old Monopoly sets, in ways that we shouldn't want to put into practice. So as you're working with young people or mentoring your children, neighbors, grandchildren, or even as you're responding to friends, let's really think about what it is that moves us. The human tenacity and courage and perseverance and willing to suffer and struggle in order to realize excellence. And to always identify the human behind the synthetic intelligence who has done that in many different ways. And also to feel connected to the outcomes that we are creating with the help of technology, so that it's a co-creation. We don't abdicate responsibility, and we're inculcating that value in the young people that we work with. The co-creation means co-creation. It means we stand by what we've created, what we're putting out. And we challenge ourselves to reach for these amazing standards of excellence that take time, that take sweat, that take effort, that take struggle, that take mistakes, that take tumbles. And when we emerge with something we really put ourselves behind, and when young people emerge with something they really put themselves behind, there will be that amazing human emotion of pride and joy and accomplishment and transformation. And we, as their mentors and guides, will feel that sympathetic joy, that love and respect and pride and celebration at their accomplishment. I invite you to keep reflecting on the way that this ease of supports from synthetic intelligence might be dulling us, and to counter that with your own passion and love for this amazing and wonderful life and our amazing and phenomenal consciousness that's the result of so many thousands and millions of years of evolutionary unfolding. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time. Thanks for joining me on The Conscious Classroom. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and leave a review. It really helps other people like you find the show. And thank you so much for caring about the inner lives of young people and the future of education. I'm your host, Amy Edelstein, and I look forward to seeing you next time.